Okay, today we are going to start our process in learning TinkerCAD for our skill drive robot. Okay, the first thing we are going to do is to create our account. Some of you already have an account, but we have included you in a class, and you will enter this class so all of your work is saved and stored and the teacher can actually see it. Okay, so let's go to tinkercad. That's the first thing you're going to do. You will receive today the your name with a class code and a login code. This is how you are going to connect. So you're going to open tinkercad. First of all, let's go to tinkercad.com. And in tinkercad.com, you're going to click on Start Login. And in Login, you're probably going to get this in English or Spanish. It doesn't matter. Click where it says Students with a class code. And here you will select this class code, which is the one that we just gave you printed. And then join with the code of your class. And here you have your class. For example, I'm going to use Manuel's and go to my class. And here I'm going to have all the information that I need. Okay, we have designs, we have circuits, we have other blocks of code. But it is important that everything you do is located on your account. Okay, you will keep this. The teacher will have it for every class that we do from now on until we design our complete robot. Okay, right now, if we are back to our main session, we're gonna click where it says create. On the top right, you click where it says create 3D design. We're gonna open a new workspace. This workspace is where you create your designs. And some of you have tried Tinkercad before. Some of you are just going to start using it. But let's familiarize with all the tools and the different elements that this workspace have. So first of all, this is called a work plane. The work plane is a plane in 2D that is usually the bottom part or the ground. Okay, I can rotate and pan this work plane in using a very simple tool. On the top left, you will see this cube where it says top and front. Now, if I click on it, I can actually move it around. So I can rotate this this work plane. Okay. In order to see other tools, let's make a simple example that we will have to delete in the future. But let's just click on the cube or the box, and I'm going to drag right to my work plane. Now this cube is a red cube. Well, I'm not interested in changing any of the dimensions, either length, width, or size. I'm just interested in that it's on the work plane. On this work plane, I can zoom in or zoom out using the scroll button. Okay, this scroll button on your mouse, it's always better to use a mouse when you're 3D designing, so you can scroll in and scroll out. This is like the zoom. And if you press the scroll button, you can pan. Okay, this is another feature that you have on 3D. So you can zoom in, zoom out, pan, right, left, and in different positions. Okay, and if you want to zoom straight to the object that you have on your work plane, you can just click Fit All in View. So here on the left panel, the second option will take you to a perfect zoom of the object that you have selected. Okay? Okay. Now, other features that are extremely important. We have the basic shapes or the shape panel. On the right, you will see that you can see like a transparent box. All these boxes, we will use them in our activity today. We have boxes, cylinders, spheres, and we have a bunch of like different shapes, and you can even click on more shapes and you'll have a bunch. Plus, there are some different categories. You can select letters and numbers, design starters. You can also see vehicles and machines, electronics, fun and games, and there's a bunch of more shapes that have been generated for you to play around with. Okay? Another interesting element is that when you decide to click on one of these objects, you will have an option panel, an additional option panel. So you can see there's a box and it has two different options like solid and whole. Now in Tinkercad, you usually have solids and you have shapes that can turn into holes. So you can use those shapes as cutting materials. So you have the solid and you have the hole. In this case, we have a solid. You can change the color of your object and you can even make it transparent. If you make it transparent, it's going to look translucent like if it was glass, and you can change it a little bit. Okay? There we go. Now, another one that it's important is the dimensions. You can change some of the dimensions from this panel, or you can click on the object. Let's say we want to change the 20. We want to change it to 50. So we change the height. We want to change the length. Let's change it for 25. And let's change the width for 25. So you can actually change the different dimensions of your box if you want. Let's put it back all the way here to 3 millimeters. Now we have a very flat and thin box. Okay, so it is very important that when you want to make modifications to your object, you click on this object. Okay, and then click on the other elements that you have around. Okay, let's look at some other tools that you have in this work plane. On the top left, you see a weird title name for your object. This is because it auto generates weird names or just names for your files. So I encourage you that every time that you create a new file, you put the name that you're working on. In our case, we're going to say skill drive chassis. Okay? And because that's the one that we are going to model today. You have the skill drive chassis, and it will be auto-saved in your account every time. Okay, another cool feature that you have is also on the top left. You can see that there's a copy, kind of like a copy and paste. You also have the paste one as soon as you have copied one, or you have duplicate and repeat. You can select this or the shortcut, which is Control D, and erase. And of course, undo and redo. Okay. If you are lost or your object is way out of scope, let's say you lost it and you want to go back to the original view, you just click on the home button and you have this view. We will use it a lot in order to kind of navigate to the same position every now and then. Of course, there's also the zoom in, zoom out, and this button on the top, on the left, it's called switch to flat view or orthographic view. Okay, every time that you're looking at an object in 3D, you can see it flat or in perspective. Sometimes we want to see it completely flat. Okay, so let me show you what is the big difference. Let's say I click on the top view of this file. Okay, right now I am on the orthographic view. If I click on flat view, all these dimensions look straight, okay? They look exactly flat. You're looking at the object in a perpendicular way. And this is important because sometimes you want to take measurements or you want to locate or put some other objects here. Okay, it's not the same if you're having an orthographic view. Okay, so this is very important. You see? So it looks very different when we change from perspective to orthographic. So my advice is that you look at the orthographic view. Here we're in it, and you can see the icon right over here. Now if you click on another shape, you see this shape looks exactly like a 2D shape. It has to look like this, okay? If you click here and you click the cylinder, you see that you can still see that it's 3D. If you move it around, it's on 3D. And that's what we don't want. We want an orthographic view of sometimes to measure things. Let's say I want to put this cylinder, and this cylinder has to be exactly right on this shape. Then, of course, I can go back to the home view and I can see that it's located in the bottom. Okay. Let's put it right on top. And then we can click on the top view just to see how it looks. I'm going to modify this just a little bit so it has the same dimensions as my box. And here I have a perfect tangent cylinder on top of the small square, the small box that we did. Okay, so those are like the basic tools. We're going to learn some other tools now when we develop the activity. So you click on it, you can delete it. Remember, we have the trash can, and we need a fresh start. So I'm going to click on the button again, on the home button, and what we're going to do is create this chassis. This is the skill drive chassis, and the skill drive chassis has a hole in the middle, kind of like where the cup is going to go. And we have some motors on the on each end, and here we have some very important holes that we are going to create. Okay, 3mm holes. So first of all, let's find out what are the measurements of our first design, or our first space, which is the width, the length, okay, and the height of this isometric. So let's begin. Let's create a box, first of all, and this box has a length, okay? It has a length of 117, if I'm not wrong. Yes, 117, and it has a width, okay? It has a width of 100. Okay, so if I click on the top view, remember that I want to have this in orthographic. That way I can move it around. And then when I move it around, I'm going to place it around the middle of my work plane, okay? Another treatment for this box is that it's going to be gray and it's going to be transparent. Now, transparency has different like tones, okay? So we have it transparent. Here we go. You can see I'm missing one of the, there we go. This is going to be erased. And I have the box. Now the height, I can change the height. This is a 3mm height because that is the acrylic that we are using. Guys, remember that if you feel that we're going very slow, you can always fast forward, or you can speed up this tutorial. So we have the base, okay? This base requires a couple of things. One of them is we need to create some holes, okay? To create some holes around this. So it's very important that we can actually find out what are the measurements of these holes. So they're 3mm, okay? That's the first thing we gotta know. And in order to create a hole on TinkerCAD, you just need to drag a cylinder, okay? This cylinder needs to be, the width has to be 3, The length has to be 3. Okay? And we can leave the height of 20 so it goes inside. Now, in order to make a hole in TinkerCAD, and this is like the tricky part, and this is what I want you to learn today, because that's what's going to make us be very efficient, is first of all, I'm going to click on the left view. I should see it completely flat. This is important. You have to see it completely flat. And I'm going to move this cylinder kind of like inside the other object. Okay? So now the object is inside. And how do you kind of like subtract this object from this object? Very simple. You're going to click on one object, then you're going to press the shift button on your keyboard and select the other object. Now both of them are selected, and you want to apply a Boolean operation, which is join. Okay? So when you click this, you will get a hole built into your material. So I'm going to click on join, and as you can see, now I have a hole. It doesn't look clear because this is transparent, but what if I selected this? Wait. Let's make this solid, completely solid. Okay? And here you see a hole right there on your chassis. Okay? There you go. So you guys are going to try to make 4 different holes on this. You're going to make a bigger hole. This hole is 70. This hole is 70, so you're going to make a diameter of 70. You're going to try with your own tools that you have learned, try to make this same object. Okay?